You're being really sneaky right now.
I'm the sneakiest.
You're so sneaky. Are you a ghost?
You're a ghost.
I'm a ghost?
Been here though in the hotel the whole time.
Oh no.
The ghost.
A ghost?
A ghost.
I guess that's fair. What the heck is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, which you probably are because everyone is new here, I am so happy you decided to join me today. I've been getting a lot of questions recently about something that I tend to do in pretty much every one of my looks, which is fake freckles. I thought I'd create a quick little video for you guys lumping in a couple of techniques I've been meaning to show you, including an updated foundation routine just for every day, something a little more natural and something a little easy. If you were looking for full glam, this is not the video for you. I promise I have other videos that suit your needs better. So let's just jump into my updated everyday makeup routine with Freckles. Let's get started. If you hear noises in the background, that is my boyfriend making himself a little dinner before his show tonight, so don't mind that. I'm also, of course, a person who just goes out the door without any makeup on because, frankly, sometimes I just could not be bothered. But when I want to look nice and I don't want to put in a lot of effort, this is what I do. The attempt of this video is to consolidate everything into one single video. So some of the stuff you have seen before, some of it you haven't. This video's purpose is really just sort of to make it easier to find for everyone who's looking for these exact tips from me. I went ahead and already primed my skin using a mix of my Urban Decay Quick Fix and my Smashbox primer water. You've seen the primer water 1,000 times on my channel. I don't need to show you that again. For me, I like hydrating primers more than pore filling primers just because I feel like it makes my skin look a little better as the day goes on. I've already said that before in a couple of other videos, but people who do like pore filling primers, I really don't have anything against them. So yeah, you use whatever primer you want really at this point. And if you are a combo person like me, then maybe a hydrating primer will work better for you. I also went ahead and just pumped out my two favorite foundations, which are the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Glow in the shade 203 and the Covergirl Vitalist Elixir in the very fairest shade, which by the way isn't fair enough. Covergirl should get on that, expanding that shade range, because honestly it's kind of dismal, but it is like super good foundation, especially for the drugstore. These two foundations are the perfect combination for a more dewy finish, which for me always ends up looking like my skin but better. Matte foundations tend to cake up on me and grab in all of my dry areas and my areas with texture, so it just sort of enhances all of that. So what I'm gonna do is just dot this mixture all over the face. I feel like it's a 70-30 mix of 70% Pro Glow and 30% Covergirl Vitalist Elixir. So normally for a full glam, I would do this first and then on top of that go in with concealer, but since I kind of want to eliminate a step and also save time and also save on the cake face, I'm going to take my concealer now, which is the Colourpop No Filter Concealer in the shade Fair 5, and then just dot it all over at the exact same time. So this saves time and also makes it so you're not giving yourself that extra layer of concealer. I'm just gonna blend them both together using my favorite foundation brush, which is the Pro 4F from the Furless and It's Likely Makeup collab, which I believe are still available online. This brush is super densely packed, which means it quickly blends things without leaving you very streaky, but it's also a more natural finish. And then you just buff and blend those two products together instead of layering them on top of each other. And it just saves you so much time by just taking one step out of the equation. So as you can see, it's not perfect. I've still got a couple things peeking through. If I still have a couple of things that I want to spot conceal, just take a tiny bit. I'm just going to take my foundation brush again and tap over those areas that we wanted to spot conceal. This brush is also great because it doesn't lift any of the product that's already been laid down underneath. So that's it. This still looks like skin. It isn't perfect. It's not full coverage, but it leaves you with a nice healthy glow. So we're gonna make sure we are creaseless around the eyes, and we're going to take our damp sponge and do a tiny bit of baking. only in certain areas, just to make sure that we don't crease up, because I crease a shit ton. So this is just a little bit of insurance for the rest of the day. Onto the lids as well. It's basically letting that loose powder just sort of melt into the skin, and as the day goes on, it allows the oils in your face to gently peek through over the course of the day. So it might look a little powdery right now, but once you go over at the end with a little setting spray and then just let it wear for a couple of hours, it'll keep your oils at bay while looking like skin. So I just am going around the nose, probably in this little chin crease, because my foundation tends to move around a lot right in this area, and not too aggressively because you don't want that foundation to move. Just taking a big fluffy brush and then just lightly hitting the rest of the face, touching it to make sure that you've set it all. You'll be able to feel the areas with your fingers that are still tacky, and then you can just sort of dab on a little extra powder. I feel like I spend the most time in my makeup routine on eyebrows, because when I'm doing them, I really want them to be super precise, and that is the thing that I get the most compliments on. But they do take up a large chunk of my makeup routine, so when I am in a hurry, I want to find a way to make sure I have brows but not spend 25 minutes on them. The one thing I can use every day and not have to put too much effort into it is my tinted brow gel. And my favorite brow gel, which you may already know, is the Benefit Gimme Brow in the shade number 3. With the brow trend the way it's going right now, leaning more towards the fluffy brow style, I can kind of be a little messy with this and not too precise and still come out looking like I put some effort into it. So without any pencil beforehand, I'm just gonna take my tiny little spoolie and just sort of really quickly run this through my brows in an upward motion, giving the hairs a little more definition, a little more volume, and a little better placement. Already this is like night and day. So I do like to layer it up just a tiny bit, just because I do love the full fluffy brow look. And I do have enough brow hairs that I can sort of get away with this without any pencil. See, I do have brows, they are there, they're just blonde. And when I don't color them in, they are like a mirage. So just layer up in the areas that you want a little bit more fullness and a little bit more color, like closer to the tail end here, and maybe in here where you might not have as much hair. All right, here I feel like my brows could be a little more filled in just at the bottom. I don't know why they don't grow there. It's kind of infuriating. And that's it. That is the quickest, easiest brow I could possibly give you. I'm gonna do the other one off camera and I will be right back. We're just gonna bronze really, really lightly, really quickly. We want something that'll give us a bit of a glow, and for that we take out our butter bronzer. So I am going to take my favorite bronzing brush right now, which is the Pro 3F, and just gonna lightly tap around the perimeter of the face. We're also using this to do a little bit of contour. I tap it in first, then sort of sweep it across the cheekbone, and then come back around in sort of the C-shaped motion to carve out the bottom just a tiny bit. And of course I always put way too much on because that's just who I am as a person. I just love bronzer so much. Taking it a bit under the chin. Is that tea?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, he's pretty alright. Going along the jawline and down the neck. Probably too much. You probably don't need to do this as much as I do this, because maybe you actually have a jawline. And of course, the 5 head. I usually don't go across the top here because I find that that always looks a bit splotchy, but I just dust a little bit into the sides of the forehead and like a tiny bit in the hairline, but mostly in these two areas. Now that we are sufficiently bronzed, I would say, I'm going to give myself a teeny tiny bit of a nose contour with a little bit of Kevyn Aucoin sculpting powder and the Pro 2E. Raise the sides of your nose. I don't want it to be too harsh. I just sort of want a suggestion of a nose contour. Just take a little bit under the nose in sort of a V shape. I just think it looks really good layered with blush on the nose and freckles. And then just take a tiny bit across the nose, just to make a little button effect. Moving on to blush, we want to pick something that isn't super duper pigmented, but also not super duper pink. I like to go in with a blend of like peachy and neutral blushes, which I'm going to use these two down here in my blush Bazaar, which is Fortunate and Angelic. I really like the tones in these two blushes mixed together. It gives you a hint of warmth, but blends really nicely with bronzer. And I like to take my blush close to my under eyes because it gives me that sort of hangover eye effect that I really like in Korean beauty trends. I think it just like adds a little bit of like a cuteness level to the whole look. And I try to keep it away from this area of my face because I feel like that narrows your face. Also, if you're not a blush person, you've come to the wrong channel. Oh, and this is the Pro 6F, by the way. I put a little bit right under my chin as well. I'm going to quickly switch to my Pro 2F, which is just a bit smaller. Take the same blush right under the tip of my nose and across the bridge of my nose. It's kind of like a little marker for where you want your freckles to be placed. Okay, now that we are wearing all of the blush in the world, I'm going to share with you my updated freckle routine, which with the right tools is super simple. All you need, tiny pencil brush and some brown eyeshadow. I'm going to take my Pro 6E, but really you can pick up a brush like this at the craft store. I got one at Michael's for super cheap. I'm just gonna use a couple of shades from the Too Faced Just Peachy Mattes palette. You can use any brown peachy eyeshadows that you wish. I just usually have this one on hand. It's got a nice big mirror in it. Also, I really like the tones in it. So I'm going to pick up these two corner shades right here, which are Peach Cobbler and Peach Tarte. And I kind of use a mixture of those two to varying degrees of brown. And I just take a little bit on my pencil brush, just do a couple of taps, not too heavy, tap off the excess. I use a close-up mirror for this as well, so sorry if it's not like the best angle. And I just take that little pencil brush, really gently start to pick a couple spots and use the remainder of the shadow to do lighter freckles around the area. But I usually start in the bridge of the nose, kind of where I laid all my blush down. Also, I've said this before in another video, but if you're like me and suffer from acne, then just paint over them and make them look deliberate. So those raised spots end up looking like they were meant to be there as opposed to you're trying to hide them. And also using the brush until there is no product left on it is also a good technique because that gives you a little variance in tone and in size and in opacity, but the most concentration is usually just around the bridge of the nose for me. And then I do take a couple just sort of over in this area. Let me zoom in just a tiny bit. If you can see kind of right in this area where there is a spot here and here, I'm just going to, and then if it's a little too dark, you can tap it out with your finger. All those raised spots on my face that didn't cover as well with the natural coverage foundation, I can just sort of turn them into little beauty marks. You can go back over freckles that you want to be darker. There's no real rule book here to where you want them. Also, if you want to add a little variance in tone, which creates depth, use a little more of the peach tone and less of the brown tone and just sort of mix it up. That'll add depth to the area. You just want to keep layering and layering until you're finally happy with the result. If you have a real freckle like this one over here, you just want to darken it after you've put foundation on top. I'm dipping into a tiny little bit of this really dark brown shade at the bottom, which is called Chocolate Dipped, along with the brown shade, and darkening up one or two of them just to add a little bit more variance in tone. And that just brings a couple of them forward. And I'm using a very light hand. And it just sort of gives you more of like a wash of freckles, and it doesn't look like you've placed them down. So of course you can do this whole look without freckles. It is totally unnecessary. However, I know a lot of people have been asking how I do them, so that was my updated routine for you guys, and I hope it was super helpful. All we're gonna do for the eyes is just a little bit of mascara. And right now I am into a tube of the Tarte's Lights Camera Lashes mascara. It is my absolute favorite formula to date. I've tried quite a few mascaras, and this still for me takes the cake. And we're gonna do a very light coat. And for me, because my eyelids protrude quite a lot, it's hard for me to not get mascara onto my lid but we're gonna do our best. The best technique I've tried so far is to, like you're putting on false eyelashes, look into a mirror underneath you, slowly combing through the lashes. However, this still isn't perfect. You will notice that no matter what, I get mascara on my eyelids. See, even with like one coat of mascara, the difference is pretty crazy. Last couple steps to go, guys. We are nearly done. Obviously, we couldn't do a fresh faced look without all the highlighter in the world, and a highlighter can really pull a look together without using a whole lot of effort. The one I reach for the most for a quick, easy look is my Maybelline Master Chrome in Molten Rose Gold. It is far and away one of the best highlighters at the drugstore. I mean, of course, I do love my Colourpop Luster Dust and Strobe Glow. It just melts into the skin so beautifully, but it is kind of tricky to work with because it's a loose powder. If I'm in a hurry and I want that beautiful glow without all the mess, Master Chrome is the way to go. I'm just gonna take my highlighter brush, blend in circular motions in a sort of C curve around the eye on the cheekbone. And you can use as much or as little as you want. And we kind of know how much I like to use. It's the perfect rosy tone for like blending right into that blush. Hit the Cupid's bow and just above the brow bone. So what I like to do for my nose highlight is take my Pro 3M, which has a tiny little dome shape at the top, and just put a little bit at the tip of the nose, pat it out with my finger, and then sort of right between the brows on the bridge of the nose. Take it down just like a little bit, about halfway, just to give your nose that little bit of extra glow. Brings the focus into the center of the face and really just like snatches that nose. Then take a little bit with the same brush into the inner corner and take a tiny bit onto the brow bone. And for me, this is the part of the look that just sort of ties everything together. All we have left to do is lips, and I'm gonna show you a couple of new products that I've been loving lately for a natural, glowy, glossy look. The first one is something I kind of just wear on the daily because it feels amazing and it's super nourishing for your lips. This is my Clarins Instant Light Lip Comfort Oil in the shade Honey. It might look like nothing out of the ordinary, just a clear gloss. There is something about this formula that doesn't budge. It doesn't run or bleed into the cracks. It doesn't just sort of like sit on top of your lips. It's almost sticky, but it's not sticky. It just kind of is almost like the perfect texture and weight and comfortability to give you a glossy lip without all the like annoying hassle of a lip gloss. Just so gorgeous. It's a clear gloss, but it doesn't feel like a gloss. It kind of has this elasticity to it that moves with your lips and doesn't just sort of like sit on top of them. Like the Fenty Gloss Bomb, don't get me wrong, is stunning. It's beautiful. But there's something about the texture just makes me like, you know, purse my lips all night long, and then eventually it just sort of like wears away. This, however, I can leave alone. Like I'm not constantly playing with it or like rubbing my lips together. It's the only gloss that's ever been like that for me. It's just the most comfortable gloss ever in the entire world, and it just doesn't bother you, doesn't annoy you like lip glosses usually do, for me anyway. Using it has definitely improved the texture of my lips. I have fewer fine lines in my lips, and this isn't long term, but when I wear it I do get a little bit of a plumping effect, not with like a tingle or anything, but it does like plump your lips just a little bit, just to give you a little extra pout. The other thing I did want to show you is my new favorite sort of on the go lip balm that I throw in my purse on a daily basis, and that is the Tarte Lip Quenchers. It's just essentially just like sort of a glossy lip balm with a tiny bit of a tint to it. It smells like mint, it's refreshing, it's cooling, it's just sort of like a really satisfying thing to throw on when you're just sort of on the go. I have this in my purse at all times. This is the shade Buff, so it's more of like just like a nudie glossy color, and I'm just gonna throw this on over top just to show you like just ever so tinted it is. It's just sort of a minty, refreshing lip balm with a tiny bit of a tint to it that just feels really good in the summertime. So I thought I'd just throw that in here. Right now, these are my two favorite summer lip products, and I would definitely recommend them for anyone who's looking for something really easy to wear all summer long. So all we gotta do now is set the face and do a little bit of bottom mascara, and we are done here. That is all, my friends, for this updated everyday face routine with a little bit of a Freckles tutorial thrown in for you guys. I hope you learned what you wanted to learn from this video. I know this is something something that I can do every day, and it won't take me a whole lot of time, and you can kind of do all of this without thinking about it too hard, which is really what I wanted it to be. Plus, I feel like I look super cute. I feel like I look really, really fresh, and the skin is just gonna look better as the day goes on. Anyway, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope these are things that you can accomplish on your own with little to no stress. Please let me know what you think down in the comments below. I love hearing what you guys have to say, and I love hearing your feedback, and I love chatting with you guys as well. Also, if you enjoyed what you watched today, please give it a thumbs up down below. This helps me out a great, great deal, and I always appreciate when I see them coming in. So thank you so much, guys, for all your support and love so far. Also, why not hit the subscribe button? Become a part of our tiny little corner of the YouTube universe. I don't have an uploading schedule, so if you want to know every time a brand new video goes live, hit that bell notification next to the subscribe button and you will be notified every time I upload a video. Alright, that is it for me. I'm gonna go play some Dungeons and Dragons. It has been a few months and I'm really, really excited. Do me a favor, be kind and be generous to everyone you meet out there in the world today, and hopefully I will see you on the next one. Bye, guys! So are you saying I don't exist?
I'm saying you exist, but in spectral form.
Whoa. It's intense.
How come you can go through walls, but you never fall through the floor?
Look, I don't have all the answers. I'm just a ghost.